special day. It's a double day. So I'm going to give you what God gave me. And I was watching TV. They say I'm a news fanatic, and I watch TV a lot. But see, I'm the one that takes the other routes to Sanford when it's wrecks on the highway. And then they're in traffic and they say how to get around it. You've been watching the news. If it's raining, we don't get out. But some folk, that's where they go. But I was watching TV the other day and a commercial came on and it was for Allstate. And it's about this dad standing with some keys in his hand, and his daughter runs out and it's a little Fiat. One of the smallest cars in the world you could buy. But the father's holding the keys and she's elated, this cannot be happening. And he says, oh yes it is. And I thought about fathers, how many times, even back then, that how many times he probably had told her no, Faith, that you can't have no car. we can't buy one right now. But later on, that loving father gives in. And here it is, some keys. And it's just not to an old beat up car. That's the only thing our parents could afford us, was a hand-me-down or a beat up car. It was already on its last leg when we got it. But nowadays, God has blessed the parents to have cars. I look over at the high school and see how many cars in the parking lot. And you would think it would be the teacher's parking lot. There's Lexus and Hummers and GMC pickups, brand new. And so those fathers and mothers are great. And so we understand that we always try to do more for our children than what our parents did for us. And so you would call that a loving father. After I looked at it, it just reflected in my mind some of the things that we go through that we say we're not going to do, but we end up doing it because of what? Love. We trust because of love. I'll never forget when we got ready to get Chrissy a car, we were looking at a used car. I said, well, if we get a used car, you might be buying trouble. And then I looked at a little car and just fit my budget and it looked like it fit the highway real good. But Mama spoke and she said, well, I'd like for her to have a bigger car because she's going up and down the highway. And after thinking about it, I said, yeah, but you're not thinking about my budget. She said, well, you're not thinking about my car. So I had to compromise as a loving father and give in. Amen. Amen. And I thank God for being able to do that. I'm just trying to explain to you what a loving father will do despite, hey, I don't want to do it. So a loving father will give all of those things. A loving father is a father who might fuss a little, but guess what? He loves you greatly. Amen. Because the fussing is really not fussing. It's a lesson within a lesson. You might say, you might hear say, well, I walked to Annie everywhere I went. And you did. But the thing about it is that nowadays we can't walk. It's too hot. It's too long. The store is too far. What would my friends say? And so the thing is that we have to give in on odds, but a loving father is eventually going to give in. Even though he might have some stiff words for you, that's male and female, guess what? He still loves you. The base of that, Kenneth, is love. It's love that's shadowed beneath that. And a loving father is the one who's going to come through. Another thing we're going to pick out in this lesson, that a loving father is always there. No matter where you are, a loving father is already there. And with our technology now, a father is only a text away. And most fathers are learning how to text. I know when I first started out texting, I would text each individual. I thought that's the way you did. I didn't know about group text. I text one, and if I had 15 people, I'd text them individually. And somebody got smart and said, no, all you do is just add them in a group, and you can send a message out. I say, look at this. Loving fathers learn some things too. And so we have to understand that in our lesson today, let's go to it and see what God has to say about the prodigal son's father. And that's found in Luke chapter 15, and just read with me. It starts about that 11th verse, and we're going to talk about the prodigal son's father. We most of the time focus on the son, the lost son, and we focus on the son who stayed at home. But every now and then we need to focus on the loving father. Are you there? Signify by saying amen when you reach that passage of scripture. Luke 15, and we're going to start at verse 11. It reads on this wise, and I'm reading from the King James. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with righteous living. I'd just like to talk to you from this thought, a loving father. A loving father. You might say a portrait of a loving father. Because here is this man who Jesus used in a parable. And these parables, remember if you read the aforementioned of the text, it is about the lost sheep. And the lost sheep is found with joy. The lost is brought home with joy. The lost coin is found with joy. And the lost son is brought home with joy. So we have to understand that Jesus is using this parable to defend his ministry, as well as tell for why he ate with sinners and publicans. And we have to say amen to that, because we are sinners saved by grace. And we have a master who loves us dearly no matter what we do. And so here it is this son, in this time, in 21st century Palestine, it was unthought of for a son to charge his father like this, to ask for the portion of his goods. We all know about the inheritance, and the older son would always be responsible for getting the inheritance or making sure it was distributed in a proper manner. The younger son had no place in it. Did he have a place in inheritance? Yes. But he did not have the authority to step above the older son, because this was custom for them to do. And so he was brazen to even ask his father for his portion. I can imagine today in 2016, a young man asking his dad that had worked all hard, worked shift work, worked all kind of way, where's my portion? And I'm pretty sure he'd give a few choice words for him. How many days did you work? How many midnights did you work? How many times did I have to go out in the thunder and lightning and rain and work and bring this home? What part do you have? And so the thing about it, but here it is that this loving father, and you have to see the loving father, because this loving father listens to this son. But you know why? He listens to the son, number one, because of love. Number two, he already had told him, no doubt in this text, if you read this text, what was going to happen if he had his stuff early. Every now and then, God will hold back something from you because you're not ready for it. And a lot of times we ask God for stuff that we're not ready to handle right then and there. You have to understand that God knows what he's doing. The Father knew what he's doing, and a lot of us preach, son, don't do that. Son, you don't do that. You need to slow down. You need to go ahead and do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. You need to look at those things. And a father, wise father, is always giving instruction. We just heard of children, obey your parents. Listen to the wise instruction of a father. God put the father there as the head of the house. Now, I don't care what the world says, but man should be at the head of the household. Amen. The thing about it is that in the beginning, God created he male and female. And he created the male first. Now, I understand that some of our men don't wear the pants. I understand that. And I'm like Pastor Phillips, if you have not been wearing the pants, don't go back and try to get them right now, because you will get beat up bad. You have to understand that God intended for the man to be the head of the household. Now, I agree, behind every man there is a good woman that helps with the family things, but you know, a lot of times we look at that, and a lot of times my wife has asked me a lot of times, we can see it, even when Daniel was coming up, he's a good boy now, but coming up, the thing is that my wife would tell him something, and he wouldn't do it, because of the female voice. It just wasn't designed. Well, I come out and says, what in the heck is going on there? And the whole attitude changed. That's why we need our men and our children. A mother cannot be a father. And we need fathers, and I'm sorry to say that the men are missing. In most cases, a lot of our young athletes, and sometimes I get so tired of looking on TV to where there's a young kid, a mother who has struggled all her life to get this kid to the NBA, and we don't see father until his paycheck time. Amen. Amen. She's done all of that raising, done all of that doing, and yet, you know, the man is not where he be. But thank be to God that there are some men who are where they're supposed to be. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And so we thank God for that. Here is this father who is loving enough to give his son what he desires, knowing all the time that guess what, it ain't gonna work out. And that's what loving fathers do. Sometimes you just gotta stub your own toe. You can tell somebody it's a bump in the road, it's a big rock in the road, and they don't want to listen to you. I know, and then when they hit it, here they come back. Sometimes a hard head makes a soft behind. That's the only way I can put it. I've been told that by my granny, by my mother, you know, and that, when you're hard-headed and you don't listen to father instruction, guess what, it'll normally come back. But look at the love. Even though you come back, well, here come, Dad is right there to give you confidence and say, and not even say, I told you so. But we know we want to dig around the door and say, I told you so. But loving fathers just don't do that. We wrap our loving arms around you and try to talk to you and let you know, hey, Daddy was only trying to tell you this, just to let you know what the world is all about. And young people, if you got a loving father, and even if you got a loving mother, you need to cherish that. That is a support system that every child in America don't enjoy. And some of these children don't even have a place to stay. But if you got a mother and father who's trying to do it, send you to college and do all of those things, you need to be most grateful to your parents. And every now and then, parents will give you what you don't need. One of the late ministers said, hell is when you keep begging God for something that you know you don't need, and he knows you don't need. And then when you get it, guess what? You catch nothing but hell with it. And then you want to blame God. You'll get that on the way home. And I could go a step further, but I'm going to leave that alone right there. So we need to understand that don't be so eager to get stuff right then. We don't need it. I know a lot of times kids want to drive. They want to do a whole lot of grown-up things. My mother used to say, well, what are you going to do when you get grown? And so we need to understand that there's a place for children. There's a place for fathers, because fathers are not ones who beat you over the head with your mistakes or with your sins. A loving father is the one who understands. A loving father is the one who's always there. Look at the text. The son went away, but the father's where? At home, where he should be. Now the oldest son stood home, and we're going to kind of briefly talk about him because he stays at home. He's got the privilege of everything there, but he's mad when the father accepts the lost son back home. You know what that signifies? You can be at home and still be lost. There's hope right here in the church that could be lost simply because you're jealous of what God has given somebody else. We need to understand that God says, I give the portion to whom I want to give it to. And we ought to glorify him for giving somebody our neighbors. Back in the day, we didn't have cars, but we had neighbors who had cars. And when they went to the store, they let us go to the store. And so we need to understand that we need to get back to that, to where we don't want to be jealous of what God is blessing someone else. God lets us go through some things, but here's this loving father still at home. No doubt he can't sleep at night because he knows what's going on. But I understand in this text that righteous living will bring you to your senses. Even if you don't accept them, it'll bring you to your senses. Because when you run out of money, you run out of friends. There's some folk who will hang around you young people, especially we talk to those who are going to college. They start out with your meal ticket. Can I use it? No. No, you can't use it. Because I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to use it and they're going to get a buddy to go with them. Amen. You need to understand there are users everywhere. And in this text, no doubt this young man was not spending his money on himself. He had friends. And when the money ran out, guess what? He didn't have a friend enough to go back home. And here he is, a Jewish kid, in a pen with swine, which is definitely a no-no, it's taboo, and yet he's desiring to eat what the hogs had. And then he finally comes to his senses. World will bring you to your senses. You got a loving father at home that you won't even call while you're going to school. Don't call and say, Daddy, how you doing? Mama, you're doing all right. I know I'm right. Yeah. Amen. You don't call till you need something. How y'all doing today? Okay, what you need? Because this ain't normal. The loving father that still do those things and provide for his family. Mama's right in there too, talking, and I'm pretty sure they didn't really mention about the mother, but the mother at this time in the 21st century Palestine had a voice, but it was inside. And I want to tell you something. Yes, that's boo-boo and that's juju and all that stuff like that. Let the dash be the dash. A house divided cannot stand. And Junior knows how to play both sides. Oh, yes, they do. They know how to play both sides. I know we used to try to play that trick. Mama, can I go somewhere? Go ask your daddy. I don't want to go ask my daddy, but daddy, mama said that it was all right with you. It's all right with her if you go somewhere. That's what you said? Yeah. But later on, they found out that ain't what went down. So Junior knows how to play both sides, and I'm pretty sure you can hear maybe his wife say, well, let's let him go on his own, see how he's going to work out. We trust him, but yet still you lay and you worry all night long. Amen. Because guess what? That's a part of you. Amen. And when they're small, they're on your lap. But when they're old, they're on your heart. Amen. And in this time, this young man has asked for his part of his portion that he thought he had coming to him. I should tell Chris and Daniel all the time, I ain't telling you how much we got, because see, I might get old and in a wheelchair and y'all might roll me down the stairs. So I'm not going to let you know. You just have to wait till God calls me home. So we need to understand. Not say the joke, but sometimes, have you ever watched ID? Have you ever watched I Am Homicide? Help me, Holy Ghost. I'm almost through with this. But here we want to point at Sister Holmes, the lovingness and the forgiveness of this father. Even though he knew that the young man didn't deserve what he had, he went on and gave it because of love. And sometimes we can find ourselves in a situation where we give our children more than what they need. Amen. We need to understand that it's good to say no sometimes. Because sometimes children, there was a young man the other day, they had him sleeping, I forgot what place it was, but they had him sleeping out in a tent. And the neighbors got on them about his cruelty, and they said, we've just come to an end. We don't know what to do. He steals from us in the house, he steals from others, and we're trying to make him appreciate. It's going to be harder than that in prison. And they had folk that were saying that it was cruel and inhuman for them to have him out of the tent. He had water to drink. They let him eat in the house, but they were trying to teach him a lesson. And they said, I'll tell you what, everybody else that's got an idea on how to reach him, why don't you come? Not one volunteer. But everybody criticized what they were trying to do. Fathers, do what you can. Do what you can. Don't worry about what somebody else does. But you need to do what you can while you can. And God will bless you for it. Amen, lights. He will bless you for it. There are folk who don't even have to tell you how to raise your children. Now, they ain't got no children. But they're going to tell you how to raise your children. And so we need to understand that you got to do what's best. And if you go by this book, guess what? You won't go astray. Amen. You need to understand that every child needs some God. And I think that's what's wrong with today, is that we give our children, some of us give our children too much. They don't know what it is to walk. They don't even know what it is to buy their own clothing. They don't even know what it is to get somebody to pay $200 and $300 for nails and hair. Amen, life. And so we have to understand that sometimes we give them too much. Have you ever noticed that they are willing to spend your money? Amen. You give them some money and you take them to the store. They say, well, mommy, I want this and dad, I want this. You say, okay, buy. You got enough money? Oh, I'm gonna save mine. That's y'all. And so we need to teach them to spend their own money. If you really want it, guess what? You know, and we need to teach our children that you get what you pay for. Amen. If you hook it and crook it and get something cheap, it ain't gonna last. It's like cheap shoes. They look good today, but if it rains tomorrow, they're not gonna look very good. So sometimes it's good to wait on what you want to get better quality. It's good to save up your money and get what you want. And this young man wasn't trying to save up any money. He just wanted what he thought would be coming to him. Here it is. This young man goes into a far country. He finally comes to his senses, and then he comes home. Number one, there is no place like home. Amen. You can do at home what you can't do nowhere else. You can go to the refrigerator at 3 o'clock in the morning and just hold the door open and just see what's in there. Amen. Lights. You can get anything, drink. You can do anything you want to do at the house except burn it down, and that is a blessing. Some kids are not, nowadays they see that it costs so much, they're not so eager to get out there on their own. Amen. But the thing is that we have to understand that young people or anybody don't ever forget that there's love in the house. It's just like you left it. Mom and dad is not going, or they might talk to you. They might talk to you to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but they still love you. And they're not going to reject you. We have to understand, young people, there's some rules about the house too. You can't be wrong and tell somebody what you will or won't do. Amen. When daddy speaks, you need to listen. You might not like it, but the thing about it is you ought to listen to it anyway. It's good wisdom. It's good instruction. And I'm pretty sure this father had told him, but look at this. Here's the love. That he sees this son walking from afar. This tells you that he still has love for a wayward and wandering son. The thing about it is that love is even stronger now than it was before he left. Because here it is, his son who was lost and now found. Because what you have to understand is that there is a system built in to the Jewish thing that when you separate from a family, you do something, they throw you out and they take a dish and break it, symbolizing they don't have enough deal. All ties have been broken because you figure you know everything. And so here it is that the son is coming from a distance off, and this father is elated. And before he gets back home, He tells him, go kill the fatted calf. Go get a ring ready. Go get a robe ready. Even though I know you, son, child. I know you realize you made a mistake, but hey, guess what? I still love you. What I'm trying to tell you is that Jesus is the Father that's waiting. No matter how wondering and wavering we were, he still accepted us right back into the fold. None of us have been out there wavering and wondering, but Jesus is still standing. So God has given us a picture of how a loving Father ought to be. You ought not judge, you ought to hug. You ought not criticize, you ought to give good instruction. Jesus is that man that says, I don't care what you've done. I don't care how far you moved away. I'm still right here waiting to be your father. And we've got a lot of wayward sons out there that need to come home to Jesus. Jesus is the best loving parent that I ever knew. And guess what? If you got Jesus and a loving earthly father, man, you got it going on. Because Jesus is the driving factor and the drawing factor to that family. We need to understand that Jesus gives us an example of how we deal with folk who have gone astray. We have daughters and sons who are going to make mistakes. Amen. But we got to love them. Amen. We've got to instruct them. Because the most critical time in a child's life is when they've made a mistake. That's the time that you really got to hug them and you got to love them. And I've used this illustration before. We're going to stop. But the thing is that I'll never forget was Sleepy Floyd. And you probably heard me say this. They were playing Georgetown and George Thompson. John Thompson was the coach. And they had the game won. All that they had to do was get the ball in. Sleepy Floyd just had to hold it. And the game would have been over. And some kind of way, when he got the ball, he threw it to the defender that was standing right there. And he did a layup, and they lost the game. And you would think that a coach would be furious that a young man that experienced would have done that. But when he walked with his head down toward John Thompson, all he did was threw that white towel over his shoulder, grabbed Sleepy Floyd with a great, great hug and just held him right there. Fathers, they're going to make mistakes. But a loving father, later on what's good about it, is that you can look and see how your children have flourished, how you give them instruction, and you can't be with them 24/7. Amen. But I know a man from Galilee who will walk with them and stay with them all through their life. There are certain things we just can't do. But we can give them the wisdom and we can instruct them in the way that they should go. That's what a loving father does. Jesus says one time, what father, when his son asked for a piece of bread, that he would give him a stone? Not one. That's love. So we thank God that we've got a loving father who sits at the right hand of his father, making intercessions for us, even when we mess up. And guess what, young people? You're not going to have a perfect father, not here on this earth. Amen. And you don't use their mess up to justify yours. Father's still a father. In my house, we don't serve the Lord. Joshua says, and so to every father that's part of it, have a good day today. God bless you and keep you. You're doing a great thing. Keep on doing it. Keep on striving. It's going to be some rough times. It's going to be some low times. But through it all, God will be right there for you. And then later on, when God bless your quiver full, when you have all of those grandkids, Brother Mayo, you can be like those in the Bible, those patriarchs that says, who are all these folk? It says those are the ones that God blessed me with. And what's so good about that is when they get to doing ruckus at the house, you can send them home with Gail. And so the thing is that's a loving father. I love to see you. but it's time to go. Amen, lights. God bless you. Happy Father's Day for all the fathers. I hope this message helped you along the way. For those in this church, stand with joy for all time.